Yo, 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 guys, what is up? And welcome back to another episode of the Game She's Clay podcast. It's your boy Gautam. Full squad tonight with my boys Matt and Chuck. Gentlemen, welcome back. Happy holidays coming up on Christmas time, New Year's. And how we living, boys? It's been a minute since we got all three. Chuckster, how we doing? Welcome back.
We're doing good. The fourth member of the pod is chilling just out of frame, just
Shout out
gnawing
Sophie.
down on something. Who knows? But we're doing good out here, man. Getting ready to go back for the holidays. My body and my mind have decided to quit on me, but like my inspirational hero, Kevon Looney. No
Yeah,
matter how much my body quits on me, I will play.
I was
I
gonna
will.
say, Chuck, you're like a combination of Steve Kerr and Looney right now. Like mind quitting on Kerr, body on Looney, and we get Chuck. It's good.
That's right. I'm the worst of both worlds.
I love it. I love it. Matt, how we doing, man? How are you? I know you feeling a little bit like Clay, a little bit like Clay today. Little
Yeah,
buzz.
man. I'm not gonna lie. I am actually feeling all right today, man. It's two dubs in a row. I'm not gonna lie. I
Weird.
was at the 2 days ago. I was fully at the point where I didn't think we'd see a single winning streak all season. So two, and it's gonna end at two. I'm cool with it. I'll take two in a row, and we'll move on and see what happens after tomorrow night.
Hey man, like you said, bro, this is I can't remember the last time since that the beginning of the season that we've done a pod after two wins. So back-to-back dubs for the Warriors. Played the Blazers, played who they play on who they play on Friday or Saturday?
Nets,
Hmm.
the
Nets.
Nets.
That's
Yeah.
right. Nets and Blazers. So two games that you feel like the Warriors should have taken care of business, but again, as always, the perpetual blowing of leads was there in both games. Not easy dubs at the end of them, but Saturday night, shout out Steph Curry, put the team on his back, scored the final 12, I think, down the stretch to send Brooklyn home, and then last night for the first time, Steph was able to kind of take a night off and obviously get the 3-point record broken, 268 straight games, but everybody else stepped up, man. Klay had his best game. Wiggins, maybe not his best game, but Wiggins definitely had his best game. Guys like Pods with the game saving charge, TJD coming in, JK Moody, everybody. It was a team effort, and really one of the first times we really saw a full team win. And obviously, the Warriors again another blown lead. I think they were up by 18 in that game. It might have stretched it to 20 plus. But again, they came down to the wire. But at this point of the season, man, we I think we're all at the point of just have more points than the other team at the end of the game, and so it was refreshing to not to blow a lead, but to not have to suffer through a loss like we've had. And the Warriors have played the most clutch games. I think last night was their 23rd of the season. They're 11 and 12 or 10 and 12 and 11, something like that. They're pretty much 500 in these clutch games. So good to see them kind of right the ship a little bit and move to 12 and 14, which is still a lot of ways to go. But um, perfect guy to start off with, man. And I think it's been a long time coming, especially for us here at the GameSees Clay Pod. I think it's time we talk about Klay Thompson, man. We three straight games. Klay's scored over 26 points. He has been taking smarter shots, playing better, just within the flow of the offense. And the jump shots there. Has always been there, but the shots he's getting, the shots he's creating for other guys, and really just letting the offense come to him instead of pressing and really taking those bad shots that we've seen throughout the course of this season, a little bit through last season as well, and some of those bad habits that we've seen Klay build, man. But just to kick off the show, man, on with us, talk to me, man. Just how's it been seeing Klay change? I don't even want to say change because I feel like he's kind of just taking an extra second to make the right play, which is I guess is a change from what he was doing before. But these are kind of performances where you can kind of see the confidence growing and the rhythm starting to come back for Klay. And Chuck, I know you mentioned it a bunch, man. It was just a matter of time before we started seeing it, but until until I think it was after the Wiggs benching. He said, I played like ass, and time to turn it around. And last three games, man, Klay really has. So Matt, Chuck, man, talk to me about Klay, what we've been seeing, and is our boy back?
Yeah, so just to throw some numbers behind the old Clay resurgence we've seen. Um, Everyone, I think, kind of got into this idea of he's washed, he's done, he's forcing things, he's doing whatever, and it's easy to fall into that trap with as bad as he looked in those first 12 games. But something I mentioned last time we did this is when you're a guy like Klay, his shots have gone down since last year. He's being, if anything, less aggressive. He's not having the shots created for him. And he's not able to create the shots that we've seen in the past. So those first 12 games, he took 6.8 threes a game. He made 33% of them. Definitely not the Klay Thompson that we are used to seeing. And the 13 games since then, he's taking 9.3 and he's hitting 41%. So there you go, right there. The confidence never left. The ability never left. He just needed to dig and dig and dig until he found it. And now he's finally getting it. And it's also a huge thing for the team because, you know, early season, I feel like such a huge discussion point was, oh my God, can someone not named Steph Curry be a 20-point per game or be a 20-point scorer on any given night? And the answer was almost always no. And now the answer is yes, often. Like we're seeing Klay doing it. We're seeing Pods do it. Wiggins got in the 20-point column in that last win. Off the bench too. So we really got a lot. We really got a lot changing in this team because of the way Klay is playing. What are you seeing out there, Matt?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought the numbers up. I think it's Clay's at a weird point in his career where I don't think that and him and Wiggins and all these guys, right? It's just hard right now to tell when anything's actually gonna last, right? It's hard to see like right now, he's turning back on, right? And I think you mentioned it a bit, but the shot selection looks better. And I really want to talk about after I've noted this little spiel that the response to the benching in general. But it's just hard with these guys, right? They're old. And Clay's coming off an Achilles, coming off an ACL. He's 33, going on 34. Wiggins has never been a consistent player his whole career. Most of these guys have something that might makes it hard to think. Makes it harder, at least for me, to think like, hey, we're guaranteed to revert back to what we think the mean is. However, I do want to just hit on, listen, like Klay, I think he responded as well as you could ask to a benching. Like his defense has been a lot better since then, I would say. And I don't think his defense was a huge problem before, but the defense has been better. The shot selection's been immensely better. He's not like I haven't seen him take any one-legged jumpers. And if it is, it's been one or two. Hand the face threes. No, he's pump faking out of shots, sidestepping, taking a three. He's taking good shots. And I think, the reason that he got benched wasn't because necessarily the shot making, it's because of the shot selection. And people are this kind of like weird. I don't want to say narrative, right? But I think there's this big battle on Twitter of like, there's a lot of like, I will say Klay apologist. I love Klay. I have at times been a Klay apologist. I have not been one for a minute, probably. Or it's like, the shot selection is not the issue. It's just he's missing shots. I think he was just missing shots, but I think he was also taking bad shots for a minute. Like, he was taking really stupid shots. And again, we've been saying this for a month now. Like when Klay takes a bad shot, it's loud and it's always at a bad time. And it has been costly, right? We've seen it be costly like very many times over the last month. Whereas the last few games, we're seeing this guy who's taking smart shots. He's making really smart reads. If his guy, Kevon Looney, can finish anything, Klay might be averaging 4 or 5 assists right now. He's not, but no, he looks great. I think it's not a coincidence that, again, Kerr lit a fire under his ass. You got to kind of ask yourself too, in my opinion, what happens if Kerr does this 3 weeks ago? When Klay's having one of those shitty shooting games, right? If Kerr says 3 weeks ago, you know what, or 2 weeks ago, I'm benching you for a fourth quarter because you have been detrimental to our team for a quarter, for a long stretch, and there are guys who have played better than you. Klay has responded to that in the best way possible. Kerr's comments last game after the game were flat out. He's like, Klay is good when he takes good shots. That was it. Klay is good when he takes good shots. And that's just it. I think we do got to mention that this isn't like, it's not a coincidence, in my opinion, that this comes with the Warriors putting Pods in the lineup and JK in the lineup. You have guys who, especially Pod, right? Again, the Warriors haven't drafted a guy like that who just plays Warriors basketball. And I don't know. I don't know who the last guy was. Like maybe Looney, but Looney wasn't an impactful rookie, really. I can't think of the last impactful rookie who the Warriors can have on the floor and is helping the vets play like their best selves. And Pods is doing that. Maybe McCaw, yeah, which is crazy to say. That's crazy. But it's crazy that that's true, I should say, to be clear. Um,
The the human victory cigar, Patrick McCaw.
man. Yeah, but it's just
Ultimate champ.
you get this guy Pods who keeps the pace going like the Warriors. It's Steph, Klay, Draymond. They like to play fast, and having Pods out there does that. We've said this all year too. It's great to have this. It's great to have a spread offense if you can, right? If you're not getting paint touches, good luck. And both Pods and JK like getting the paint, and it's not a coincidence that two of the best shooters in the world. Steph had a slump, had a stinker last night, but it's not a coincidence that two of the best shooters on earth benefit from a collapsed defense, even if it's just a guard like. I can't say enough good things about Pods, but even if it's just a 6'2", 6'3" guard getting in and keeping the ball moving always and just being quickly decision making in a way that these guys haven't been all year. So Klay is both. It's a mutually beneficial relationship, right? These guys are growing because Klay, and Klay's helping everybody else get better. So, hey, props to Klay. I hope he keeps it up. TBD on all of it, but the Warriors need him and Wiggins to play like they've been playing the last couple of games.
And I think you bring up a great point there, Matt, which was Steve Kerr kind of, giving him some tough love, saying, yo, like you guys have not been doing well, and not been helping the team. And I think it kind of goes back to your other point, man. Like, what if Kerr did this a couple weeks ago? And I think for Wiggs too, to his credit, like I think his last couple of games, even since the benching, like he's been more aggressive, at least energy wise, looks good. Yesterday against the Blazers, shot was falling. I thought he was doing a great job getting to the rack, and just keeping your guys on edge. I think, especially just knowing just the way the season had started, it really just begs the question, man. Like this could have happened earlier, and to see the way the starting lineup has responded, like you said, with JK and Pods in there, I think it opens up a lot more for guys like Steph and Klay, especially with no Draymond out there, and you're still, starting Looney. So getting those two guys in there, I think has done a great job for Klay, and I mean we all know, especially with Klay, man, all it takes is like a couple good ones to go down, and once he kind of sees that happening, it kind of just opens the floodgate. So I think we're at that point now with at least the starting lineup, and with Wiggins on the bench as well, that you kind of have these guys set in these roles, and you can kind of see that going. So looking forward to them building off of that. But again, it just goes back to the rotation at large, which is where I think that even last night, man, like it's still, I still don't trust Steve Kerr, which is funny to say, and 10 whatever years in, but
Can you go into the decisions he made the last 2 minutes that at least I think we're on the same page here? What did he do last night, Gautam,
Oh
that had
my
you saying
God,
that?
dude. He subbed in Trace Jackson Davis with when Sarge picked up his third foul. And I think we can all say TJD brought in just an insane element to this Warriors offense and defense, just changing shots, being that rim protector, but also running the court, opening stuff up, was a lob threat. So I think he had a couple lobs. CP was really opening up that pick and roll game with guys out there, and just a young athletic big that the Warriors just don't necessarily have on a year-to-year basis, and it can really just provide another element to what this offense brings. And him and Pods, man, those two rookies were playing really well down stretch. I think it was Steph, Klay, Pods, Wiggins, and TJD. I think it was Wiggins that was out there. But that five-man unit, they Blazers had cut it to two or three. They built it back up to I think an 11, 12-point lead. And funny enough, Steve Kerr subs in Chris Paul and Kevon Looney, and bro, I lost it. At that point, it was like there's 3 something minutes. I think the reason they didn't lose that game was because there was not enough time. I think he subbed him in with 3 minutes left, and if he subbed him in with 3.5 or 4 minutes left, they probably would have lost that game, man. Like, and that just again has been my biggest issue this season with Steve Kerr, and I think we've always said it starts with him in terms of like pressing the right buttons, and especially the season where you're sitting 12 and 14. But again, a game like last night where you found a combination that works. It's not that you knew you had a day off. It's not like you're playing Steph an extra whatever 3-4 minutes, or Klay. You're playing two rookies an extra 3 minutes in what they might not normally play. These guys are 19 and 22, man. Like 2022. Like they're built for this. They don't need an extra 2-3 minutes of rest to bring in Looney and fucking Chris Paul, who need that extra rest, and in that scenario. So again, like I think this season is it's becoming more and more evident to me that his season is going to make or break based on Steve Kerr. And he's obviously going into a season where unsure what his contract situation is. Is he going to be back next year? Obviously, a lot of questions to answer off the court, but right now, I think he's coaching for his job, man. I don't think he's had the best year so far. I think he made the right decisions in terms of benching Wiggs and bringing in guys like JK and Paz into the lineup. And just starting lineup. So the decisions have been there. It's really just the timeliness. And man, I hope that TJD gets a lot more run. I think we saw, especially just with a just three big man unit that they have with Saric and Lubin and TJD. They all bring three different elements to this offense. And you can really play two bigs at a time. So I'd like to see him go away from that 3-guard lineup and lean more into a bigger, like a 2 big lineup, whether that's Saric and TJD, Loon and Saric, Lunin, TJD, whatever it is. Like, I think you can lean into the size that you have because, man, these 3-guard lineups when you have Steph, Klay, and Chris Paul out there are just not working defensively. Teams they're old, man. Like the Steph and Klay and CP cannot stay with these young guards and young wings anymore. And there's no slight to them, man. Like, you got to put them in positions to be successful on defense. And I think you have the optionality on the roster to do it, especially now with the rise of Paz and TJD. So Steve Kerr avoided the hottest seat that he was going to be on if they had ended up blowing that game. I thought those two subs last night were just criminal, but they got out of it with a dub. But begs the question, man. It really does in terms of like what is Steve Kerr going to do? Because he clearly has. If it's I think Matt, you said it, man. Just for lack of a better term, he's not getting out of his own way in terms of playing some of these vets over these young guys, and he's been saying the right things in terms of playing. I want to play the right guys and whoever's playing best, but. Again, last night was just another piece of evidence where not the case to close it out, and it almost cost him.
It almost is like a bit at this point. Like it's almost like he's got he's a sitcom character, Steve Kerr is, and it's like when he has his chance to do the thing, he does the thing every single time. It's I don't know, it's staggering to me. Chuck, what are your thoughts, man?
No, Kerr right now very much has the vibe of like that guy who is every night he's like, I'm going out there, I'm talking to every girl, I'm getting numbers, I'm not going home alone, and then he ends up home alone. He's playing 2K, and then he goes and he does it next weekend.
Well, something right there, bro. Shit.
And hey, there's nothing wrong with that, but like don't talk up this big game about like, oh, I'm gonna start playing the right guys and I'm gonna do all this, and then don't do it. Especially in a night where TJD was playing as well as he had. Highest scoring game by a Warriors center this season. Because Dario Saric, not a center. And I will say a couple things on that end. One, he did recognize the mistake and pull Kavan. Granted, he did it with 20 seconds left, so big whoop. But at least there was some inkling of, I messed that one up. And also Chris Paul hit that huge mid-range shot to basically keep the Warriors afloat while the lead was going away.
Simultaneously, a horrible possession.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, Chris Paul dribbled that air out of the ball, turned into a
Terrible.
great shot.
Yeah.
Turned into an incredible shot.
Wasn't even a great shot. Great make.
I mean, incredible make.
Terrible shot. I hated it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
No, and it was the process that went into that was rough, and they wouldn't have needed that shot if they weren't getting absolutely massacred at the point of attack. But I think the main rotation question I have now is what to do about Kevon Looney, because at this point he goes out, he plays every game, but it just looks painful. It looks like he's Prometheus going out there and getting his liver eaten by a hawk every single day, and then he just goes like, all right, see you tomorrow, Hawk. And he just goes right back out there and gets absolutely punished. And it's especially frustrating seeing TJD, who's being a vertical threat, which is something Kevon has never really been able to do. And that really shortens the offense because, the way the Warriors get vertical threats is Kuminga, Wiggins, Gary Payton, guys like that coming out of the corner, getting lobs off the short roll. Which Kevon is capable of making those passes, but so is Trace. And the other thing that I really like that Trace does, it's really just the opposite of the Kavan effect, is if he gets the ball in the short roll and the defense has committed, it's a 4v3, whatever it is, like help has been moved out of the paint to deny ball, he's going to go to the basket. Like he's going to try to finish over somebody, around somebody. He's going to try to get contact. He just has like a natural aggression without overdoing it, that I think is really important to this team because, the point you brought up earlier with Klay maybe being able to average 4 or 5 assists, if the guy who's setting his pin down screens or running his DHOs was actually able to like, slip to the basket and score against any semblance of shot contesting. And Trace is that guy. So I think it's really time for serious questions to start being had. Um, and I know we're not the only one in this. Shout out to Nikias Duncan, one of the film goats of Twitter in general, of basketball in general. He posed the question last night. I think I have a serious question about the Warriors centers, but I don't know if I'm ready to ask it for another month. But it's time for that question to be asked, in my opinion. Is Kevon Looney still a starting center on this team?
Can I ask a question? Has come on. I love Looney. I would die for Looney. Looney has done.
Stature's there, man. Like
It actually is there,
yeah,
man. This
yeah,
guy put up 10 and 20 multiple times in multiple playoff
same,
games over the last
same.
2 years. I don't think any other team in the league would start Kevon Looney at any point over the last 2 to 3 years. That does not say anything about it. That does not take away from what I just said. I think the question is, can Looney start for this team any longer? Probably more so. Semantics, Chuck, who gives a shit, right? But yeah, I just want to acknowledge like the Warriors probably didn't make a change, but Gotham, you were going, man. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like in terms of like it's too late to have, like you said, Chuck, like is this conversation gonna be had a month down the line? That's where you get into the like kind of the weeds of really the pressing issue with the Warriors right now. You're in a transition period, whether you want to accept it or not. Like this is the dynasty is closer to the end than it ever was before, and obviously just with years going on, that's how it's going to be every year after this until it officially ends, and when retiring people leave, whatever it is. But you're at this point now where you're not able to win the games the same way. You can't turn the ball over 30 times and still have a shot to win because Steph's such a legend, or Klay is just going nuclear, or Draymond's doing his thing. Like you have to find new ways to win, and that means going away from what has worked for the last 10 years or 5 years in Looney's case. And again, like you guys said, man, nothing to take away from Loon as a Warrior, what he's done, what he even brings to the table now. I think as a backup center, a guy you kind of need to get in there to just have a bigger lineup, you get some rebounds, whatever it is. Like he's still there, but man, like the touch around the rim is cooked. Like he doesn't have the lift when he's going up. Like if he gets the foul, goes to the foul line, he's probably missing a free throw or two. Like it's just like the father time's undefeated, man. And like for Loon, as great of a career as he's had, like the 2 hip surgeries, all the wear and tear. He's played so many games in a row. Like obviously the injuries that he had initially, and playing, I think he's over like 100 some games like consecutively played, and it's a testament to what an Iron Man he's been for this team, and will continue to do so. But I think the conversation has to be had. Like we've seen what happens if this team sticks with something for too long already. You're sitting at 12 and 14 in games that you've lost earlier, that if you had made some changes or switched something up earlier, maybe you're not sitting at 12 and 14, maybe you're 14 and 12, whatever it is. Like it could have gone either way. But you're at the point where you really can't, you don't have the luxury to wait anymore, in my eyes. If something works, you have to run with it, and if something doesn't, you have to be able to pull the plug right away. And last night we saw running the youth guys, the young guys out with guys like Steph, Klay, Wiggins, JK, Moody, Pods and TJD have now entered that, like, these guys bring a different element to this thing. I think Pods has now kind of worked his way into a night to night player, but a guy like TJD again, man, like is just brings so much to the table that Looney doesn't, Sarge doesn't. You don't really have like a true 5 on this team. Like Sarge, obviously we all know that more so 4, like has that size, can shoot. But I'm just imagining, like, instead of playing 3 guard lineups out there, you can run a Saric and TJD lineup with Steph, Klay, and Wiggins or JK or whoever it is to really mix stuff up and bring new elements that this team hasn't seen. And we've seen when they can get out and run in transition, play with pace. They look like the Warriors of old. They're able to get some stops. They're able to get out and run, and the scoring prowess is still on this team. It's just you have to have the right combinations out there at all times. It's not just going to be Steph being Steph or Klay getting hot or whatever it is. So you have to press the right buttons, and I just think that you want to do it before it's too late, because you're entering a stretch right now where you have 11 out of your next 13 at home, and these are. I don't want to, like, it's never must win, and obviously until you're out the next game, but you have to put together a very like substantial stretch here to A, survive, but also B, like, the West is a bloodbath, man. So you can't, your Warriors already kind of teetering right now, so you have to put together a run, especially when you have all these home games coming up. So yeah, man, I love Loon, but I think it's time. It's time to switch it up and ride with the youth, man. It's not that we're doing this because Looney's been so bad. I think it's because TJD's shown what he can bring and like how what he can do to this for this team. So yeah, that's my take. But I don't think you have the luxury to wait anymore.
So Marcus Thompson today put it really well on a podcast. He said something along the lines of like, listen, what's the worst thing that can happen if you play TJD more minutes? And the rhetorical response was the other team might score. Right? This team is they're bleeding. They're bleeding points with either Saric or Looney right now. And neither of those guys offer the upside on either end. Probably Saric, the way, I mean, we're seeing him overused as a roller right now. But that's neither here nor there, right? They got to give the kid more minutes. He's got to. I don't know. I don't even know if Looney's done, to be clear. It's just the guy looks like he's tired. He looks like a guy who's been overstretched for the better part of 2 years now. I don't think it's gonna hurt the guy in ego or physically to give him a break. I do want to ask you guys before we get on to just not even moves, but the idea of trades. Wiggins has 2 games in a row now where he's looked good. I will say, like, he's looked energetic. He's been a positive player for the most part. I think he ended up being like a -1 last night, but I think if you watch the game, he was really impactful and helpful. Exactly, Chuck. Yes. But if Wiggins keeps this up, let's just say I'm not, again, way too early to say he's back, but if he keeps this up, are the Warriors better off keeping him on the bench or bringing him back to the starting group?
I would say probably the bench for now. Just off the sake of like Kuminga, and here's the thing that I think the Warriors have been able to get away with for a long time is that Steph is so good he can raise everyone up, and especially when he has Draymond and Klay. Draymond holding together things on the defensive end, Klay making the shots he makes. He can hold whatever the other 2 guys playing in the lineup are together. With Draymond out, it makes it a little tougher. But with Klay playing the way he's playing, with what we're getting out of Brandon Pajemski, I think they can still afford to roll Kuminga out there. I think they could afford to get away with TJD if he's in the starting lineup. Like, as you said, Matt, they're bleeding points regardless. So if you give him 2 incredibly athletic guys at the 4 and 5 who can be vertical guys, who can put the ball on the deck a little bit, who can be effective on the glass, that's really huge. And then just throwing out like the bench, the bench can benefit a little bit from having a better player in Andrew Wiggins. Because as much as he's struggled, I still think he's been a better player than Jonathan Kuminga. And Chris Paul is the kind of guy who would really benefit from having a Wiggins around. And on the defensive end of the floor, I think that would be huge. I think Chris Paul is also the kind of guy who could, make things work with Kavan, where he's like, hey, it'd be nice to have a roll man, but I have Dario. We have really good pick and roll synergy. You just kind of need to be out of the way a little bit, run some dribble handoffs with me, nothing too crazy. So that's where I think the Warriors, they've gone through this early point in the season where they're trying different things, and a lot of them haven't worked. And now you've tried something and it has worked. So I think you got to keep it going for the time being.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I agree. I think it's more so just it's not necessarily like you said, man. So starting is really just semantics in my eyes, and I think for a lot of this team, it really is. It's who's closing, and for Wiggs, I think that there's going to be times where he's going to be in that closing lineup, and I think that's where he's got to work his way back to. But I think Chuck, you hit on it, man. Like just the optionality you get with Wiggs with that second unit playing with guys like CP, Loon, Dario. I think that's going to be better for this team, and yeah, I think that that's just going to work out better.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. I think it's kind of weird just in that Wiggins almost is more suited for the role that I think Chris Paul wants Jonathan Kuminga to have on the bench, right? I think going into the season, we all thought, oh, Chris Paul, Jonathan Kuminga pick and roll, like it's gonna be great. He'll get Jonathan Kuminga going. But then the season started, and we kind of realized Chris Paul has got no desire to get JK going as a screener, right?
Yeah,
And Wiggins is not a guy who's for the most part playing off screens, right? At least not off on ball screens. He's getting that cross screen action down low. He likes to pull up Shea. Last two nights he's like going to the rack, but he's got the ball in his hands and he's attacking, right? So I think just with the way that Kuminga would thrive, he wasn't thriving like Chris Paul. Those bench units were good because they've got 4 or 5 good players out there, but it wasn't like you weren't getting the best Kuminga. Where right now I feel like not only doesn't matter what I feel like, right? We've seen the numbers. Like Chris Paul, our Steph, Klay, and Jonathan Kuminga works like it does, and it makes sense. And so I think with the way things are going, it kind of reminds me of in a weird way, it's a really obvious comparison in a lot of ways with the Iguodala
yeah,
Barnes
yeah,
idea,
yeah.
right? Like we
Literally, I
know
thought
we can
last.
get, yeah, right. And Steve Kerr recognized like, hey, we're gonna get a lot more out of Harrison Barnes if he's playing next to two of the best shooters of all time, right? If he's playing next to, also what a crazy lineup, man. You had Andrew Bogut, genius, Draymond Green, genius, Steph, genius, Stephen Klay, goat
Like I
shooters,
think
like,
we forget about how well that those like even
oh
the
man,
pre KD teams how well they were built, man. Like
oh,
you like it you take it for granted now looking back at it, but in the or in the
140
moment,
games. They
but
won 140 games in 2 years, man.
insane. It's just actually
So
insane.
but you kind of see like, hey, Kerr knew Iguodala. Hey, Iguodala is a great basketball player. He's gonna play well no matter where he is. This is not necessarily that, right? But I think Kuminga does need a certain setting to play better than he might otherwise. And Wiggins is gonna play like Wiggins kind of no matter where he's at. So it reminds me of that in that whole sense. But no, I think I hope either they shift to both those guys starting at some point if Wiggins keeps the shooting up. But also if Pods keep starting, I got no complaints, to be clear.
Yeah, and
When Draymond comes back. There you
I
go.
didn't yeah, I didn't really think about it from a Steph like raising lineup standpoint, but now that you guys kind of brought that up, I totally agree. I think that Steph being it like Kuminga and Pods playing with like Steph and Draymond and Klay, like I think that is better than a Wiggins playing with them. Not that Wiggins doesn't benefit from playing next to those guys, but like Wiggs is going to be able to do his thing next to CP, next to um Dario, Moses, another guy. So like I think that it's a great point. It's a underrated point in terms of like allowing these guys to reach that full potential and really maximize these lineups because again like you're not winning games the same way you did and to hit the point on Kerr, man, like the fact that he was able to go to Andre Iguodala relatively in his prime, latter prime, to say, hey, like we need you to be the sixth man and come off the bench and really set the tone for that initial like to start the catapult this run. We need that Steve Kerr back to be like, yo, like, and maybe we're starting to see it with with the benching of Wiggs and kind of putting Klay on notice as well. But in terms of in-game adjustments and riding with the hot hands with guys that are playing well, I think that the longer the longer it takes to get to that point, the more precarious the season can get. And so I am convinced though that there are a lot of winning combinations that this roster has, and like we said it, man, they're like if you add in Pause and TJD, which I think you really have to now, they're legitimately 10 deep. Like you can run it shit 11 deep really. And so not counting Draymond. But yeah, like I think that it's an interesting time right now because you're like I said, man, you have 13, 11 of the next 13 are at home. And obviously, I think everybody heard the Mike Dunleavy kind of soundbite during that interview or press conference he had or whatever, that this team really has 10 to 15 games to show what they have. I think it was right after the Draymond suspension, or they just announced a suspension or something like that. So this team is on notice. I don't think that moves are out of the question. I think that these guys are legitimately. I think Chris Paul's playing for his Warriors career. I think guys like maybe Wiggins, Kuminga, Moody, whoever it is, who might be included in some sort of move or whatever that may look like. But so Mike Dunleavy's kind of giving you a timeline of, we're gonna pivot if this does not like get up to par and what we thought it was gonna be. So I think that kind of lays out what the magnitude of these next kind of 10, 11, these next 13 games coming up. So it's gonna be fun, and it starts with a tough one tomorrow night against the Celtics.
I like that you brought up just the Dunleavy quote, just because whatever he said, man. But I kind of feel like Klay and Wiggs are the only guys who are actually playing for their jobs right now in a weird way. Like I kind of think they are two guys who can save their spots, to be clear. Like I don't think anybody else besides Steph, obviously Steph's not going anywhere. Draymond's probably not going anywhere. Like those two guys can play well enough to where it's like, hey, we're not trading you.
Yeah.
But I think everybody else, kind of come hell or high water, might be available come the trade deadline. And again, those two guys at their best, no matter what we want to say, and those guys haven't been at their best. That's the problem, right? If they can't be their best often enough, that's a problem. You address that in any number of ways, right? But those two guys at their best are better basketball players than Kuminga and Moody right now.
Yeah, 100%.
You mentioned that the Warriors have 11 of 13 games at home. And also, guys, Chuck bounced. Chuck was he was on his
it's a little
sleep
late
bed.
today.
Yeah, he had a long one. He was falling asleep on the laptop, but we're gonna carry it without him for now. Like just like Klay and Wiggs last game.
Yeah,
But
Klay and Wiggs fighting for our jobs on the pod today.
that's right. That's right. Do you think this team can and then will survive up until the deadline without a trade, or do they need to start looking at making a trade sooner?
So here's how I answer this. I don't think they survive to the trade deadline. And that is if they make a move. But like I said, these next 13 games I think are going to be some of the biggest regular season games we've seen in recent Warriors memory in terms of setting the course for what this looks like, yeah, to end the season. Because I don't think that if this team doesn't get it together, I don't think that they're gonna last till February. I think that this gets broken up relatively soon. And they have, a 10, 15 game window. But the stretch that I see that defines it, they have the Celtics, the Wizards, and the Blazers. However you shake that out, I'm going to see 2 wins out of those 3, and I'm taking that for granted right now. I'm assuming that they get these 2 wins. So you're sitting at, what is that, 14 and 15. So you're pretty much right at 500, and then you have at Denver on Christmas, at home versus Miami, at home versus Dallas, at home versus Orlando, at home versus Denver, and then at home versus Dallas or Detroit. That's 6 games right there against 5 of them playoff teams. With obviously the Nuggets, Heat, the Mavs, the Magic, who have had the Warriors number for years now, even dating back to when we were awesome. And then the Pistons, who I don't know why.
Also, it's a dub. They get 1 win every year, no matter what.
Have always had our number. So especially at home. So I'm looping that game in there. But that's whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6 game stretch. If they're less than 4 and 2, I think this thing gets axed before that, like before MLK Day. And I don't see that. I won't even have a problem with it. If they lose to, these are all home games, man. And like, the Christmas game against the Nuggets, I'll kind of chalk that one up to whatever. But you have, and you play the Nuggets again. I'm not saying that, but you have to show that you can start beating these teams, and you're playing playoff teams. It's going to be a great indicator of whether or not this team can compete with the best of them. Because for the most part, and I know they've lost a lot of close games. The Clippers, the Suns, the Thunder. So it's not that they haven't shown that they can compete with these guys or be in these games, but if you're consistently losing to teams that are gonna be in the playoffs, B, that you feel like you should be on par with, you have to start winning these games. And if they don't do that, January 5th is that Pistons game, and that's kind of my cutoff for this team, but for better or for worse. If they was that you add in the last three, so that's 9 games. If they go anything less than 6-3, I think you got to break it up. And I think that the move then that's where I go in the sense of they can't survive till February, because even if you go 5-4, let's say you're sitting at
You're
what,
500. You're
you're
500
500.
club.
You're sitting
Oh,
at
you're game below. Game below.
game below whatever. You're sitting at a game below 500, but now you're whatever that is, 30 something games into the season. It's go time either way. And I look at it like the Celtics from that 22 year when we played them in the finals. They were on a similar path. I think they were like 28 and 29 or some shit, and they turned around and credit to Ime Udoka, and they had a younger team and complete different scenario than what this Warriors team is, but similar in the sense of these guys have played together for a while. I forget. I think they traded for Derek White that season.
Mhm.
They made another move. I forget what it was.
Derek White. Yep.
Derek White, and then I think they kind of unlocked Robert Williams, and they finished the season just on a tear. And not to say that the Warriors are going to have to go on a 23-3 stretch, and I don't think they can do that anyways. But in that same kind of same kind of scenario, it's like you got to do something to jumpstart this team. And this would be over a year and a half now with last season and this year for this core of Steph, Klay, Draymond, Wiggins, Looney, whoever. So those kind of 5-6 guys. And so I think at this point it's fair to say you only have a certain amount of time left to prove you can salvage the season, but also show that you can compete with the best of them. And so I'm looking at 6-3. I think they could do it, but again, for me, it comes down to Steve Kerr, man. Like it starts with making the right decisions, pressing the right buttons, and not nobody has like you said, nobody has a leash anymore. And I think like I'm completely with you. If by that January 4th, 5th game that it's still kind of looking like the same, and you don't know, I'm pulling the plug on everybody not named Steph, Draymond, Wiggins and Klay as well, man. Like if they keep this up, then obviously I'm with you. You keep them and see what you get with everybody else. But who knows what the next 2.5 weeks look like. So yeah, I think that they definitely can't survive till the trade deadline, and I'm convinced of that if a move is going to be made. But I do think that they have what it takes to go on a run, because they've been right there, and I've been saying it, and obviously a lot of it's just like the way they've played, and maybe that's just who they are in terms of closing ability and turning the ball over, whatever it is. But I'm with Mike. I love that Mike Dunleavy kind of put that out there in terms of we have, or I'm giving you guys a fixed amount of time to figure this out. And after that Draymond comes back, God knows when, but it would be around that time, a little after maybe. But and so you can really start to get your full team back, whether that's with the trade or with the guys you currently have, and go on a run.
Yeah, I mean, I think I partially agree. I actually, though, I kind of feel like if this team's still hovering around 500 by the time you referenced, um, I'll feel okay, man. I just think this team is just survival mode right now, right? I mean, I think I think we probably both agree that this team needs a trade to actually contend for a title. I don't think this roster is good enough right now.
Mhm.
But they have the pieces and the buttons to push to be a playoff team, I think. And I think it's just totally on Kerr, like you said. It's on the vets, like you said. Um, but I think going into January and February, I think if they're, it's going to be 50 games at that point through the season. If you are around 500 at that point, without Draymond, by the way, per Shams is going to be out,
At
I
least
think at
three,
least 3 more
4 weeks.
weeks.
Yeah.
So at least 3 weeks without a guy. If you're 500 without your second best player, for a long stretch, I'll take that. I actually think, again, can they survive? Yes, but dude, we got to be also real. Like Steph hasn't missed any games yet, and our guys, he's 35 years old, man. He's 35 years old, and it's unfortunate that we should expect this, but we should, right? There's going to be a time in the next month or so where he's missing games. He's gonna miss games, and I don't. I mean, I listen. I'm not gonna lie. The first guy I think of as far as the Warriors winning a game without Steph, pause. That's the first guy I think of.
Shout out.
So hopefully that guy can get something done when that happens. But it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. I think they probably should look to make some moves before the deadline. The thing is, the teams that want to make trades usually that
Wait.
want to trade their guys, they wait till the deadline,
Yeah,
right?
and that's fair.
So
I think that's a great point. I mean, I think in terms of like in terms of making a move, I think you're right. Like it's going to happen closer to the deadline than not. But I think that you're going to have a better idea of what this team looks like and who's going to be moved and who's going to be on the block after this, going into this new year. Because I think, like you said, man, like this team is not. I want to believe they're good enough to contend for a title, but again, it's so heavily contingent on Klay, Wiggins, Steph, and not to take away from Steph when what he's done, but like you say, he's older, and like you have to get him some help. And with Draymond missing so much time, once he comes back, he's another flagrant away from another suspension. So like, it's not like he's gonna come back and play every single game after that. Like I have no faith in that happening ever again. But so it's really just about can you make, is there some sort of move that I know we covered it last episode with Alex in terms of like some of these fringe moves that could be made that I think could you could pull the plug on before February. And if you really are serious about like, growing a roster to help contend for a championship, I think you got to make that trade sooner than later. Granted that this depending on how this next stretch goes. So but on the bright side though, it's all in front of them right now. Like you're again sitting at 12 and 14, but the second seed in the West has eight losses. So you're not completely out of it. I think you're two games or something outside of like the 7th seed or something like that. So it's like 2 to 11 is like is a bloodbath, and I think it's going to be like that for the better part of the season, similar to last year where it was kind of like 4 to 12 or something like that, wherever it was. So you're going to be in the race, and I'm with you. I think survival mode is where this team's at, but it's kind of like a double-edged sword where they're in all these games. They're getting leads, but the fact that they're blowing them every night and they're having to scratch and claw for every single thing that they're getting. And who knows? Maybe in the long run it's gonna be good, helps them out. But in like you said, it just in survival mode, you don't want to just need to put yourself on life support every night. So we'll see though. It's gonna be fun, and it starts with a game tomorrow against the Celtics. Should be good, but I know before we get out of here, man, we want to do a quick little fun thing. Give me your top five Warriors this year.
Oh, this is fun, man. Yeah, I mean, this
we
is a
wanted
goofy
to
one.
rank this one.
Well, number one is 30. It's easy money. The guy's been the best player of the team. He's without him, this team probably has won, I will say, 2 games, maybe 1. I think they're probably as measly as the Pistons. This is sad. It's a sad state of things. I think the second best player this year has been Chris Paul. If I'm being honest, I think he's been the second best player. That does not mean I like the way he affects the team. Doesn't mean I like his style of play. But that's about where I'm at right now. Third, gonna be a surprising name here, perhaps.
I
Not
think
that surprising.
I know exactly.
It's Brandon Bajemski. Listen, 3 guards, 6'4" or smaller are the Warriors' 3 best players this year. I can't believe the Warriors lucked into a winning basketball player at the 19th pick in the first round.
The fact that they could have had him or Jaime Jaquez at that pick is a testament to both those guys. But also just
Dogs.
that was a great draft for Mikey D right there.
Mike Dunleavy Jr. hit the. Listen, man. If you're looking at Jordan Poole right now, if you're looking at the drafts, he's I'm not going to call it a home run, but he's got a couple guys on base right now. He's doing okay.
Scoring position.
So Pod's third. Funny enough, we ripped on this guy all year. The options are few and far between. However, I think the 4th best guy in this team so far has probably been Klay, man. And that's not a testament to a whole lot else. It's a testament to the team being an issue. But again, when you are so gifted in one specific area, and that's his shooting, you tend to just have positive effects despite yourself sometimes. And Klay is kind of in that category. So again, 4 guards. You get Steph, CP, Pods, Klay. Number 5. I think I'm going Jonathan Kuminga, man.
There we go.
I listen. Just again, bring something different to the table here that I don't think the Warriors have outside of him. The guy, especially of late, the energy's been great. Defense has not been what you'd hope for, but it's energetic. Rebounding's been good. He's a guy who likes to attack the rim. He shot 0 for 4 from the line yesterday, and I do not care. You know why? Because he actually does not care about going to the line. So if we're talking about, the 5 best guys this year, that's probably where I'm going. If I didn't go JK, I probably would have gone Draymond. However, I don't think we can have Draymond. I can't personally have Draymond
No,
in this
you
group
gotta play more than half the
because
season to be on here.
yeah, because by the time he's back from suspension, he'll have missed 2/3 at best of the season. So, listen, the Warriors are in a sorry state, man. That's those aren't those 4 of those guys wouldn't have made the cut on probably 27 other teams. So those are my top 5. I got Steph, CP, Pods, Klay, JK. It's dishonorable mention for Draymond, and that's where I'm at.
I love it. I love it. I probably have pretty much the same. I'd probably go Steph. I'd go pause number 2, and this is more so
Love
just
it.
vibes. My vibes over CP. I think just the way the kid's impacted the game, what he's brought to the table in a desperate season, really. To be another rotation guy has been huge. I'll go CP3. Funny enough, CP at number 3. Um, this might be a stretch, but I'd honestly go Dario at 4. I think Sarge has been
I thought
incredible.
about it.
I,
I thought
I
about it.
think Dario, just the fact that we want him to play at the 4, I think it's just right to put him at 4. But I just think the element that he's brought from just a pick and pop guy, I think he's being a little misused. And I know we can all agree in terms of like the playing the 5 versus playing the 4, whatever it is. But he's helped us win, multiple games this year, multiple 20-point games. Decent shooter, can put the ball on the floor, just a smart basketball player that really fits into this team. And for me, number 5, I as much as I want to go with Klay and JK, man, I have to give a shout out to Moses Moody. The kid's just always been stones, been ready to play. Whether that's the 10 minutes or 30, whatever it is, like the guy's always been ready. It feels like every time he's out there, I feel confident in terms of what he's gonna do. So shout out Moses, man. Kid deserves some love. But guys that are missing from that list are Klay, Wiggins, and Draymond, and then those are going to be the guys that we kind of need to really make this into a championship team. So, better for
I
worse.
like your list better.
Thanks, man. Thanks. So I think I got, what was it? Steph, Pod, CP, Dario, Moses. Could be a fun lineup. No, actually no. 3-guard lineup. No, can't do it. But before we get out of here, Matt, we got the Celtics tomorrow, and then we got the Wizards and then the Blazers again this week. So talk to me, man. What's your prediction for that 3-game stretch? I'm assuming we'd record after that, before Christmas. But let's just keep it with those 3, with the Celtics, Wizards, and Blazers.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I got a bad feeling about that Wizards game. I just got a
JP
bad feeling
masterclass.
about it. Yeah, JP's been bad. Listen, he's been horrible, to be clear. He's been awful, but the guys that I would like to
Homecoming.
have guard JP have not been either not available or they've not been up to stuff recently, and I could see him having his first kind of explosion of the season. Or do the total opposite way. And I think most rational folks would probably say that it goes the opposite way. However, am not. I wouldn't describe myself as rational, man. I'm fucking RE here. So I'm not gonna lie. I think they're 1-2 by the time we meet up with Denver on Sunday or Monday.
Right.
I'm not. I think the Boston game has some rough potential for a blowout. Porzingis, however, noted is questionable. Chris Paul also questionable.
Could be a positive for the Warriors.
Make of that what you will. Yes, could be. But yeah, I think Boston's they are one of the 2 best teams in the league right now. They're in that tier, however you want to do it, right? Don't feel good about it. And again, I just got to bet with the vibes of the season. There's some karmic justice awaiting us in the form of Jordan Poole. So I don't feel great about that. I'm going 1-2. We beat the Blazers again and going to Christmas and who knows, maybe you steal one in Denver.
Uh, I have zero confidence in this prediction, but I'm going 3-0. I'm going 3-0, and that's strictly because I'm him, and I will always do that. But I was just looking at the numbers a little bit earlier today. The Celtics are 20-5, 14-0 at the Garden, and 6-5 on the road. So take that with what you will. I don't know who they've played. I don't know how they've lost these games. I don't know if people have sat. But I did see Porzingis was questionable. Steph is due for a just a massive game after the clunker last night. So I'm really banking on just an insane Steph performance against Boston to kind of take that home. And look, man, I'm with you in terms of like the Jordan Poole redemption story. I think that would be hilarious and quite frankly would be quite fitting for the way this year's gone. But that Wizards team is just not good. I don't think they're a good basketball team, and I'm convinced that the Warriors, for all their faults, are a good enough basketball team to beat them. And then the Blazers, like you said, they should get that dub. Hopefully, I don't know what the deal is with GP. I don't know when he's coming back. I know he's getting reevaluated here soonish. So I don't know. Doubt he's going to be back for that Wizards game, but yeah, that would be the guy that you'd want on Jordan. But no, I think if there was ever a 3-0 stretch that was coming up, though, it would be this one. You just got to steal this game against Boston. Not saying it's easy, but I feel like the Warriors haven't really had a window where they could be stealing games, and before you know it, that would be a 5-game winning streak, and you'd be right back above 500. And this team hates making it easy to get back over 500. I'm praying that this is the stretch to do it because I think they get absolutely smoked on Christmas in Denver. So they kind of really need to win these three. So I'm doing this from a hopeful fan side. I think that it's going to be a dogfight against Boston, especially if Porzingis is out. But okay, man, 3-0. Get to what was that? Make them 15 and 14. So let's get over that hump and channel a little Clippers energy, man. They're hooping right now with 8th straight after a tough start. So it's doable. Especially with older teams and older guys, and just kind of got to get everybody to buy in, and have a coach that's willing to make the tough adjustments. So hopefully this is our time to go on a run.
I appreciate it, dude. I feel the exact fucking opposite, and I don't think I'm not gonna lie. I feel better about Denver than I do about Boston, man. I think the Warriors probably have better.
I think
I like the
they're playing
matchup a lot
pretty
better.
well. I don't know. I think without Draymond, that thing's gonna go sideways fast.
Oh, I think Jokic is gonna eat. He eats every
Yeah,
time, man.
it's
It'll be a 40, 30, 20 game. But
yeah, it's
no,
gonna.
love it. I think the Warriors got 40 and 20 by Dwight Howard once, didn't they?
Yeah, with the free throws, I think.
40 and 30 or something. He had a crazy game against them a
Yeah,
long time ago, man.
that was Magic Dwight Howard, right?
It was.
Yeah. I remember that game. Jay Rich was on the Magic, and I think Dwight set the record for most free throws ever taken.
Yeah, I think he shot like 40 free throws, didn't he?
Yeah, something like that. I think he made like 20.
Yeah.
I remember.
Okay.
Yeah,
Was that Nelly or was that Mark Jackson?
that might have
Was
been
that
Keith Smart, dude.
Keith Smart? Okay.
Might have been Keith Smart back in the day. But that was definitely that was a Monte. Shout out Monte Ellis too, man. Seeing him in the crowd. Didn't get to watch his part of the broadcast, but Mississippi Missile, man, what a guy. Really just the backbone of a lot of our childhoods. I feel like that bridge between the We Believe and the Steph era, and shout out Monte, man.
How about he just loved watching Cam Thomas play basketball, man.
Yeah, that was his guy. Like that was
he just loved it.
Yeah. We're gonna be a Warriors. Shout out Monte for that. So, great memories there. But before we get out of here, Matt, anything you got coming up on the horizon or shout out or
No, man, just stick around. We got some stuff cooking we're excited about, and keep following Chuck, keep reading Chuck, and we'll be back, guys. Sorry if the energy's a little low tonight. We're all coming off night of football.
winding down from work? It was a late pod today.
Yeah.
And Chuck had to bounce out. Yeah, I got another man. Shout out the pod. Shout out Chuck, Matt. Follow all of us. Shout out the Niners. Eagles pull off another fraudulent performance against Seattle. The Niners path to the 1 seed is pretty much there. Just got to take care of business. Big Christmas game against the Ravens. Shout out Brock Purdy, MVP season. Shout out Christian McCaffrey, MVP season. The Niners are the only ones that are keeping our mental health stable right now. So shout out our guys. Bang bang. And happy holidays to everybody else, man. Thank you guys for listening, for helping us out throughout this whole thing, and excited for what's to come. But until the next episode, guys. 3-0 Warriors. 3-0. It's happening, guys. I'm telling you. But if it doesn't,
Psychotic.
we'll see y'all in the next one anyways. But peace.